Alana rushed into her parents' house, pale and tear-streaked. Her mother, Penelope Strickland, immediately sensed something was terribly wrong. "Alana, sweetheart, what happened?" Penelope asked, pulling her daughter into a tight embrace. Alana collapsed into her mother's arms, sobbing uncontrollably, her body trembling. Between gasps, she managed to whisper, "Zachary's gone." Penelope held her daughter gently, stroking her hair, trying to calm her so she could explain. Alana wiped her tear-streaked face and pushed an envelope toward her father, Anthony Strickland. "He sent it to me at work," she said, her voice shaky. Anthony took the envelope carefully, his expression unreadable. Before opening it, he asked cautiously, "Where's Benjamin? Is he with Zachary?" Alana nodded weakly, her voice barely audible. "Zachary dropped Kevin off here earlier. He said he had to run an errand with Benjamin." She wiped more tears away, adding, "And then I got the divorce papers at the office." Anthony sat down in the armchair, his gaze flicking between his wife and daughter, who were curled up together on the sofa like two survivors on a lifeboat. Penelope whispered comforting words as she held Alana close. Carefully unfolding the divorce papers, Anthony's face darkened as he realized there had been no prior discussion, no warning. "He served you while you were at work," he muttered, his calm exterior masking his rising frustration. He scanned the document once more before turning his eyes toward Alana. "He's accusing you of infidelity. Is that true?" Alana's face crumpled in distress. "No," she said, shaking her head. "I never cheated on him. He thought I was having an affair with someone at work. But that's not true. I love him." She sobbed, her voice breaking. Anthony's lips tightened in disbelief. He couldn't accept that Zachary's accusation was justified. He suspected someone had manipulated the situation. Did he say anything that made him suspicious? Why does he think you're unfaithful? Alana's frustration boiled over. "I don't know. Maybe because I hugged a colleague after we closed a big deal," she said bitterly. "And once, after a work party, I got drunk and a colleague kissed me. I stopped him immediately when I realized what was happening, but nothing else happened. I swear." Anthony frowned, turning the page of the document. Zachary was demanding joint custody of Benjamin, but wanted nothing to do with Kevin. Anthony's disbelief was evident in his tone as he read the next part. Zachary was demanding that Kevin's surname be changed, his name removed from the birth certificate. "Do you know why?" Anthony asked, his voice tense. The room fell silent. Penelope and Alana exchanged a fearful look, and then Alana collapsed into her mother's arms again, sobbing. Anthony's voice broke the quiet, firm and steady. "Alana, is it true? He's claiming Kevin isn't his child." Alana let out a stifled cry and buried her face in Penelope's shoulder. Penelope's gaze turned cold and hard as she looked at her husband. "This is not going to work." Anthony didn't flinch. "Do you know anything about this?" he asked Penelope, his voice cold. "Did Alana tell you?" Penelope hesitated, weighing her response. Finally she said, "No, this is the first I'm hearing of it. We've been kept in the dark." Anthony's disbelief was clear. "He doesn't seem to believe you," he said, his tone harsh. "He's demanding that you both hand over your phones." Penelope's fury flared. "No, you can't invade our privacy like that." Anthony's voice was stern. "If you have nothing to hide, you won't mind handing them over. Unlock your phones, or I'll file for divorce tomorrow." Penelope's anger boiled over. "I've never given you any reason to distrust me, Anthony. You're not getting our phones, and we're not getting a divorce." His tone grew colder. "I've put up with too many lies over the years, but not anymore. Watching my daughter raise another man's child changes everything. Give me the phones now or this is over." Penelope lost her composure. "Go to hell. I'll take everything you have and leave you with nothing." Anthony stood still, throwing the divorce papers onto the coffee table, his voice low, filled with disappointment. "Do what you think you need to." He turned and walked into the kitchen, leaving a fractured family behind. A few moments later, he returned holding a plastic zip-top bag. He turned the bag inside out, using a light glove, and carefully collected the used napkin scattered in front of Alana. Once finished, he turned the bag inside out again, sealing it with a sharp movement. Penelope's voice shattered the silence, her cry full of rage. "What do you think you're doing?" Penelope pointed a trembling hand at the bag, her whole body trembling with fury. This was a fury Anthony had never witnessed directly in their nearly 30 years of marriage, and it struck him that he may not truly know the woman he had spent his life with. "I'm going to get in touch with Zachary to find out what DNA testing service he used," Anthony replied calmly but with determination. "If Kevin isn't his son, I need to know if Alana is mine, or if you've been deceiving me for the past 3 decades. Penelope's scream was guttural, filled with rage. She lunged at him, her nails raking across his face with brutal force. The sensation of suffocating panic is indescribable unless you've been in that desperate, gasping struggle to breathe again. Despite the years that had passed, instinct kicked in. Anthony's brief stint with karate in his youth surfaced, and his muscle memory took over. As Penelope's nails scraped his skin, he instinctively struck her in the solar plexus with precise accuracy. The blow wasn't meant to hurt. It was just enough to wind her, and she collapsed to the ground, gasping for air, her face twisted with shock and horror. As Penelope fell to the floor, Alana's scream pierced the room, panic written all over her face as she saw her mother struggling. Anthony didn't hesitate. He turned and headed toward his office. He knew Penelope would catch her breath soon enough, but he had to leave before she recovered. He quickly packed his laptop, iPad, and a few changes of clothes, then left the house. He switched off the Wi-Fi router and changed the password, knowing Penelope relied on the internet for everything. Facebook, Reddit, all of it. Without access, she would be cut off from the world. Stuffing his belongings into his backpack, Anthony walked past his recovering wife without uttering a word and left. It was over. His first stop was at a nearby McDonald's where he logged onto their free Wi-Fi. Methodically, he checked his financial accounts, paid off and closed their jointly held American Express Go card, and used the bill pay function to close their Chase card. He transferred half of the funds from their shared bank account into his own under the name of a landscaping business. It was a simple but effective move. Later that evening, Anthony arrived at the Davis household. Adam Davis met him at the door, his face etched with understanding. "This," Anthony began, "disaster doesn't even begin to cover it." Adam simply nodded and led him out to the terrace overlooking the golf course. They sat there, drinks in hand, the weight of the situation pressing down on them. Finally, Anthony broke the silence. "How's Zachary?" he asked. Adam raised an eyebrow, his tone somber. "Do you really need to ask?" "He lost his son, Anthony. And you lost your grandson. It's not something you get over." Anthony's shoulders sagged under the weight of guilt. "I don't know how to face Alana or Penelope, knowing that Kevin might not even be Zachary's. She stayed quiet about it, and now I'm not even sure if Alana's really mine." Adam's expression turned serious. "The baby's angry. I've never seen her this upset. If Alana isn't Benjamin's mother, I think she might make drastic decisions." Anthony nodded grimly. "We need to stay calm. No more drama, please." Their conversation was interrupted when a furious figure stormed into the room. It was Baby, glaring at Anthony with a cold, accusing look. She marched in and demanded to know why he was there. Adam raised a hand to calm her down. "Take it easy, sweetheart," he said, but Anthony stepped forward, backing Zachary's side before Adam could explain. Before anyone could say more, the doorbell rang. 2 policemen stood on the porch, their faces unreadable. Anthony met their gaze with a calm, resigned look. "I saw this coming," he said softly, turning to offer his wrist so the officer could handcuff him. As a policeman led him away, Adam reassured him, "I'll get in touch with Zachary. We'll sort this out." In 6 months, the chaos gradually settled down. Alana, who had initially opposed the divorce with great intensity, first suggested they try counseling. However, she then began making unreasonable demands. The DNA test results finally confirmed that Alana was indeed Anthony's biological daughter. The revelation stirred conflicting emotions in him, both relief and disappointment. Although his love for her remained constant, the bond between them had irrevocably changed. Anthony wondered whether they could ever have the same relationship they once did. Alana refused to let him see his grandson Kevin. A photo Anthony had taken at the pharmacy, showing scratches and fingernail marks on his face, became crucial evidence in a misdemeanor assault charge against his wife. Meanwhile, Anthony found himself tangled in divorce proceedings with Penelope, a woman he no longer trusted or respected. Penelope vehemently opposed the divorce, and her legal team constantly stalled the process. The situation seemed destined for a never-ending stalemate until a violent incident between Penelope and Alana occurred in the parking lot of a nightclub. The two women couldn't identify their attacker, but security footage showed a short man dressed all in black, wearing a ski mask, launching a brutal assault with a long, heavy pole. Despite suffering broken bones and several knocked-out teeth, both women survived and were discharged from the hospital with no lasting physical damage. They admitted they had no idea who the target could have been, although they suspected Alana's husband Zachary Davis might have had a motive. Zachary, at 63, was ruled out as a suspect, and investigators had no credible leads. The attack deeply affected both Penelope and Alana, causing them to retreat from social life and stay home in fear and anxiety. Their relationship grew strained with frequent arguments. Eventually, they gave up the fight for custody of Benjamin. In the divorce, the matter was finally settled with a 50-50 split, with Zachary being named the primary custodian. Neither Penelope nor Zachary received child or spousal support as part of the agreement. As the court proceedings unfolded, new revelations came to light. A court-ordered DNA test confirmed that Andrew Herbert, not Zachary, was Kevin's biological father. As a result, Zachary's name was removed from Kevin's birth certificate, and Andrew was ordered to pay child support to Alana. Andrew found himself in a difficult financial position. His wife had filed for divorce, demanding child support for their 3 children and alimony. Andrew insisted his wife stay home to care for her children, as she did with her first child, but the financial burden had pushed him to the brink of poverty, a situation he struggled to manage. Despite the chaos surrounding his wife's infidelity, Zachary had found a sense of stability thanks to the unwavering support of his parents. He kept his position at Anthony's Landscaping and continued to invest in the company's growth. Benjamin thrived in this environment, though he became emotional when visiting his mother, who sometimes expressed anger toward Zachary and occasionally wept over their separation. Meanwhile, Penelope's resentment toward Anthony only deepened. She couldn't stand his charm and popularity with the single women at the country club. Despite the turmoil, Anthony's parents, Adam and Baby, remained steadfast in their support of their son and grandson. Baby's strength was on full display as she won her 5th consecutive women's golf championship, even without a full set of clubs. And that, my friends, brings the story to a close. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe to the channel. May the force be with